Hi there, welcome to this week's edition of SecondsOut FLEXpectations. Here every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. to look ahead to what's going on in the world of boxing. And this weekend there's not a great deal of big fights going on, but we did on Monday see the press conference in LA for the big rematch between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, set for February the 22nd. And we've had a lot of Tyson Fury content on our website, SecondsOut.com, recently as well. So I thought it might be an idea to look ahead, not just to the fight itself, because we'll do a preview version for that closer to the time, but more towards Tyson diversifying what he does in the future. We saw earlier this week, Conor McGregor sat down with our friends at BT Sport to talk about not just his fight this weekend with Donald Cowboy Cerrone, but also Tyson Fury, who, although Fury tells McGregor that they hugged once and they know each other quite well, McGregor said he's never met him before in his life. Apparently they have spoken now though, and Tyson's talked a lot in recent times about moving into MMA. He'd like to have an MMA fight, try and dominate there in the same way that he feels he has in boxing. And McGregor said he admires, Tyson's personality, the showmanship, and he's more than happy to train him in the world of MMA. He said he won't be doing the pad work and the kind of nitty gritty, but he's happy to advise him. But he needs to see him sparring first, full contact, and see how he works off the ground. I mean, it just seems a bit fanciful, doesn't it? And I'm sure it'd make a lot of money in the same way Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather in 2017, got roundly beaten, but, huge commercial success. Fury could have the same way, but he would risk humiliation in the world of MMA, even against a low-level performer. The problem he's got is that he's trained from a very, very young age purely in boxing. There's so many different aspects that you need to learn in switching over to MMA, which is why a lot of the guys who do make the switch do so early, or at least have some sort of background in training in other disciplines, whether it be traditional amateur wrestling, BJJ, so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just other types of martial arts aside from striking. Even Muay Thai is slightly different, kickboxing obviously, but in boxing, traditional boxing, it's just purely using your hands, and Fury's excellent at that, and his movement's great, there's no doubt about it, but transferring to MMA would mean doing some serious, learning and training in several new disciplines that he's not used to, and even adjusting his whole striking game, because striking for MMA or UFC is very, very different from striking in boxing. You have to strike in terms of defending takedowns at the same time, in terms of setting up punches with your feet or setting up kicks with your hands. I don't pretend to be an MMA expert, but I know that it's very, very different from boxing, and that it takes a hell of a lot of time to acclimatise to a new set of disciplines and then combining them all together to make a whole that can be successful in the octagon as opposed to the ring. So I wouldn't advise Fury go ahead with it, even if it is just a money-making exercise. He's obviously got great self-esteem at the moment. He's in a good place. I don't think getting destroyed by a mid-level MMA practitioner would be conducive to that continuing. One area where he might return to, somewhere where he showed a real natural flair for, is WWE. Now, I'm not going to pretend it's a sport. It's sports entertainment, they call it. It's a performance art, although people do get hurt. I don't want to sound like the WWE advert, don't try this at home. But people do get hurt, and it is an athletic form of entertainment. So, accidents do happen. They train very hard. It's not an easy discipline to master. Tyson Fury spent some time there last year on the SmackDown brand, which is on Fox Sports, who would, of course, televise, along with ESPN in America, Fury's rematch with Wilder. So that was a great marketing concept there, but also headlined one of their, or co-headlined one of their pay-per-views in Saudi Arabia. So Fury didn't look amazing in the ring, but WWE did a great job in his match with Braun Strowman to highlight his strengths, the striking ability and his physical strength, and minimise his weaknesses. So obviously he's not going to be, chucking around wrist locks, headlocks and power bombs anytime soon, but they made the most of what they had. They kept the match relatively short and masked some of his weaknesses, which is, what they should be doing. And Fury seemed to enjoy every single moment of it, and his showmanship, particularly in kind of the pull-apart brawls that they staged and the time on the microphone, really seemed to not just relish it, but show an aptitude for it. I spoke to a number of WWE superstars yesterday morning, and they were doing an open-top bus tour around London to highlight the fact that BT Sport have just taken the television rights in the UK for WWE, and previously they were on Sky. And pretty much all of them that I spoke to, whether on camera or off, praised Fury's contribution. Kurt Angle, particularly former Olympic gold medalist wrestler and someone who had to transition from amateur wrestling, actual real competition, to WWE and having to kind of see it more as entertainment and to present his character to the audience, and was a real natural in doing so. Look, you know, made the transition better than anyone in history. Said Fury was a 10 out of 10. You can see that on our channel at the moment, the interview. Really said Fury is not a professional wrestler by any means, Angle said. However, he did everything the company wanted him to do and everything he expected of himself. And if Fury were to go back, whether in between his boxing or when boxing is in the rearview mirror, you would think, grow as a performer and get even better at it. So I think that's more likely a future destination for Fury than MMA. I would very much advise him to steer clear of that. He'll probably get paid more in WWE for doing less work, certainly less training in the different disciplines, and he'll have a great time. You know, he enjoys the spotlight, and he'll certainly get that. So that's my view. I'd really like to know what you think about Fury's future possibilities outside of the boxing ring. Let us know what you think below, and I'll respond to some of the comments. I'll be back next week, Thursday, 4:30 PM, with the next FLEXpectations, and I'll be here with Reflections Monday, 4:30 PM also. Always a pleasure, and I'll see you soon.